You spit out paint like you can own the place.
At the beginning, you said you were thinking about putting a color out that you were having a hard time. What color was it? Do you even remember?
That I thought about putting out?
Yeah.
Because it's expensive?
No, that one wasn't. No, actually it was cerulean. Because sometimes I like
cerulean.
the cerulean as a sky color.
Yes.
And of course I can always do that beautiful blue that's more turquoise.
For you.
But because this was so fallish, I decided nah. And you also need to learn to work with colors. You don't have you don't have to have every color. And when you can learn to work to get things working with a limited palette, it is so freeing. You don't have to carry so much. Granted, you might miss something or another every now and then, but okay, I'm liking that better. Okay, I'm looking over here. I want this to still be in the shadow, but there's some filtered light through there. But I'm gonna shift. I'm not gonna fool with this right now till I do some of the tree trunks. But I want to fill in some of the foliage over here first. So it's kind of a yellowy green, not a spring green. Right now I have a spring green mixed. If I want to neutralize that, I'm going to add a tiny bit of orange to neutralize it just a little bit. Warms it up, but it's not so limey.
You know, that may be a manicured lawn because there's a telephone pole there. I'm just now seeing that.
That's a fallen log.
No,
Yeah.
No, there's a
Stand it
telephone pole and a wire.
Yeah.
Somebody
Yeah.
lives
Oh,
there.
Yeah.
oh, okay.
So
Oh,
I
yeah,
bet
yeah,
they
because
did
it
make
is okay. I
It is a
remember
lawn.
where it is.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for you to
There's a
paint that
person.
telephone pole.
I was like,
person in the
that's
bottom
weird
left corner.
tree.
That's Brad,
That's
isn't
Brad
it?
in them.
Yeah, that's Brad.
She's going to add
Oh,
Brad
yeah.
laughs.
Nah.
Where's Brad? Where's
You need a
Brad?
little
He's right
Brad
there.
stamp.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, he blends
Yes.
It's like Waldo. Where is Brad?
Where's Waldo's? He would like that.
Give him a red and
What are
white
you
striped
doing, kid?
t-shirt. And he can be in all your pictures. Ooh,
He
that's
won't
such a
pose
pretty
for
green.
me. Can you believe that?
He
No,
won't?
that's
He
so
won't
rude.
pose
My
for
husband
me.
won't either.
You what?
I said you can keep your clothes on. I just
Oh,
want
gee!
Oh!
Oh! It's
That was
flashed on a
unexpected.
visual.
I don't want to do a nude. I just want to do from life, And I just, it's like, no, Gary, don't do that. Anyway,
Now you're doing thicker paint.
a little bit, yeah, because I'm on top.
I'm surprised she doesn't make him dress up in a goat costume.
You're awful.
Okay, we probably could have picked one up cheap after the end of Halloween, darn it.
Big goat and baby goat.
Can you see him doing that?
No,
Actually, yes.
no, y'all don't know Brad very well. I'm just kind of filling in. I'm kind of squinting my eyes. This part over here, there's kind of a rectangle of darker color. That where the sun isn't quite getting through. But I don't want to do the foliage that's in front of this tree until I have the tree done. Do y'all see that
yes.
darker green?
Right.
So I'm just kind of doing what I see that's behind it. And I want to obliterate some of the purple in this ground.
Are you using just a dull green to do
Mm-hmm.
that?
Hillary, is that Brad on yours?
No, that's Richard, my husband.
Okay.
That's a hike we took a few weeks ago, and I am putting Richard in.
Okay.
Well, good.
But he's just black in the picture. He's just a silhouette.
Okay, so I think I've added enough green over here to balance this side. To me, it flows better now. How's that from y'all's perspective?
Great. But I don't see that orange in the base of that trunk that you added. You're going to go dark over
What are you
top of it.
talking about?
Right trunk. Yeah, go back to the right. You added a blob of orange on the trunk.
Where?
Right there.
Aren't you going to go
That's
over that?
purple.
Oh.
That's still the underpainting.
Yeah, she's gonna
Oh,
go over
okay.
Well,
I
since
gotcha.
it's
I just painted
vertical,
around it.
I gotcha.
Are you going to go darker on it
Uh-huh.
since it's the vertical?
Right, I'm about to do that now.
And those
'cause-
shadows would be considered vertical too, wouldn't they, around that tree?
Yes.
That you have kind of green, but there's not.
Yeah,
that much
there's going to be
purple.
more dark under there.
Okay.
The tree will come down, and then I'll establish the dark further down. It's what's called seeding a tree, and then I'll extend the shadow here even darker. But I don't.
Sinking a tree?
Sink.
Sinking a tree.
Into
As
the
in-
earth.
Yeah, so it sits.
So it's like looks like it's dug into the ground and not laying sink
Not
like
floating.
glued on top.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Kind of like my.
Okay, I'm shifting to
Yeah.
this flat brush
Okay.
because I love to paint with a flat brush because I can turn it sideways and get a skinny line,
Ah.
or I can lay it flat and get a wider line. And it's also what I painted these trunks with when I did the underpainting. Kind of bounce along with it. All right, so I'm gonna start with the darkest darks, which would be the closer trees, and then as I get further away, then I want the color to lighten up because that'll give you the illusion of depth. Is that still recording?
Mm-hmm.
By chance?
I've been checking it every so often.
Thank you so much. All right, so I'm going to take the darkest darks on my palette. I have alizarin. I have ultramarine, phthalo. And I'm going to pick the phthalo blue, the dioxazine purple, and the alizarin. And that is a really dark. Okay, now it's so dark. Okay, see that? That's
Wow,
black.
It's black.
All right, so this is where, if I want to know where it's leaning, then I'm going to pull a little bit of that out and add white to it. White's the equalizer.
Ah.
All right, so
Ooh, look at that.
see that's
blue.
leaning toward blue, but I like that.
Almost got a period
So-
look.
Yeah. So I'm gonna stay with that and see how it ends up because I want it to be fairly intense. All right. So sometimes when I paint trees, I turn it sideways and I just drag a little bit.
That's neat.
Learned that from Greg
Barb?
Barnes. I was gonna say his name just.
You know, I
Let
saw this
me.
lady this summer. She always used the same palette, and she would take all her leftover paint and scrape it together, and then
For the underpainting.
no, she
Ah.
used that as her darkest dark in
Ah.
all of her paintings
Weird.
because it was a mixture of all. She didn't want to throw her leftover paints away. You get what I'm saying?
That's
Oh, yeah.
And since she always used the same palette, then
Huh.
I was like, I'm not that disciplined, but I thought it was smart.
Okay, one thing I like to do. That's really a crooked tree. I don't want it quite that crooked. So I'm gonna straighten it up a little bit, or I'll make another one out of it. I like to use straight strokes when I paint a tree, and my eyes are blurring all of a sudden. But I'm all right with that. I'm lifting up my brush between paint so that part of it is intertwined with the foliage in the back. This part right here is bothering me. I'm going to make it fatter.
And that's still that periwinkle color.
It sure looks purple to me. It does when you don't add white to it.
And if it's more purple than what you like,
Oh, I like it.
change it.
It
So
just, I can't see the blue in it at all. It's interesting that adding white did that. Now you're using the edge.
I just had paint left, so because I haven't done these back trees yet, and I don't have as much paint on my brush, I'm gonna go ahead and just do some of that while I have just a little bit of paint on the brush, but not much.
I have
So those are
anger
the
in my
distant
pinky
trees?
finger
Uh-huh.
because
Me
I'm just
too.
shaky.
Is there any medium at all in this now?
Uh-uh.
So you really only use it for the sky so far.
Yeah, unless something's just really stiff.
And that white was stiff.
Mm-hmm. That's all right.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Okay, now, like that stroke right there, because I don't have enough paint on it, and I have paint underneath, I was mixing with the paint that was underneath, and I had to put more paint on my brush. So if it gets to the point where it doesn't stick, you don't have enough paint on your brush. And
So you wouldn't
need
want
to
to use
reload the
that
brush.
medium then because it would thin it out.
correct.
Okay.
Good
Now
question.
we're working with pure thick paint.
Mm-hmm. Now there's one that's really hip. Okay, I need to do this one heavier.
It's so funny how that makes that left look in focus, and if you look to the right, everything's out of focus because it doesn't have that value change. See how blurry the right looks?
Yes. Good point.
Now whose teacher's pet?
Y'all are so funny. Okay, so again, if there's something you don't like, you can. I wipe my brush off.
Ah, and you use mineral spirits to subtract?
Yeah,
Clever.
I don't like that. That's too
Bumpy.
crooked.
Even though in the picture it looks that way.
It is a little bit, but I don't want it that bad. And then I can come in with thicker,
Ah.
and you'll have some of this foliage in front of your tree. Not a whole lot because it's in the shadow. That's too much. That's too bright for where it is. The tree trunk will be in the way, so you wouldn't see it that bright. Anyway, is this making sense?
Yes, ma'am.
And you could go to a skinnier brush if you wanted to. I just kind of let it just skip across. You know what? Is that music? I'm probably going to turn that music off because if it picks up on the.
Oh, I bet it's not picking.
Well, it's a copyright thing.
Do you want me to go?
Alexa, stop. Alexa, stop. That way we won't worry about it.
If only your kids would respond the way
I
Alexa
know.
does.
I was just thinking that.
I know.
I
wouldn't
was
that be
waiting
cool?
for Alexa to argue with you.
Okay, this one's a little too dark. I'm going to lighten it up a little bit. Just
What are
with
you
it.
lightening it with?
I'm just picking a little bit, something that's a little lighter on my palette and just going on top of that
Ah.
other. Okay, so this over here isn't dark enough. I don't know if you can see. So I'm picking up some of the darker darks that I use for that tree. And I'm going to connect the dark in here with, and trying not to get too exact, but I want to finish as much of this as I can, but then we're going to start taking the shadows across the way. That one's more purple. The tree has foliage on it. So that's like a bend in the grass. I'm not going to worry about that log laying in the
Good.
in the path. Ooh, that's too dark. Well, maybe not. Look in the picture. Yeah. It's that dark. I've got to make this darker. Connect the darks. I want that darker back here. Oh, I don't like that.
Why?
That's hard. That's a
Ah.
hard line, so I need to blur that. And there's shadows in through here too, so I'm just going to drag some of that because the foliage of the trees creates movement on the path. That made that a little softer. But that shadow is really dark, but it'll balance out when I do this tree back here. If these trees weren't backlit, I would probably start, and that one side was darker than the other, I would do dark on one side with this stroke, and then on the light side, I would do the light, But because they're almost pure silhouette, it doesn't really make that much difference. I'm still using that really dark mixture that I had. I'm bringing it down into the grass, lowering that shadow area. And then it goes back to this one. Y'all got so quiet.
There's no background music.
I know, it's weird. But I just realized,
Just her stomach's rumbling.
that might, I know that's a issue with copyright, and I was like, oh goodness, I forgot to turn that off. And it might not be
Well,
even,
it wasn't like you were playing it. It's not like a video and you're just playing that music. It's
Right.
just we're talking over it. Everything else is going on.
and I don't think it'll be a problem.
So you turned that telephone pole into another tree.
Yeah,
Clever.
why not?
Yeah.
I want it to be more
Natural.
natural. And then, and then I can put some other.
So is that the same dark, only there's very little paint on the brush, so
Mhm.
therefore it recedes into the distance?
That's the hope.
Wow.
Are you tired?
No, I'm just not backing up like I normally do because I just lean way back.
You got plenty of room. Come on back. You
Okay.
got 2 feet.
Let me throw in a few. When I'm not looking and I just put random stuff, I have your brain wants to put pattern, so be careful of that you don't put too much of the samey thing. Yeah, you don't want to do that. I've done that so many times and then back up and go, oh, oops. So I'm making darker darks up through here to kind of lead your eye in.
Yeah, I texted her last night. We found it.
Y'all ready to paint? That's yes, I'm ready to paint.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
excited. Okay, so
Your
I can-
painting looks so much richer and warmer than the
Yeah.
I
photograph.
took
Yes.
those when we were at Hillary's.
Mm-hmm.
So that, I don't
It
know
looks
which
more
one I
warmer
used,
than what?
but
Richer and
that
warmer
one's a
than the
lot
photo.
lighter.
Oh, thank you.
That
You
one goes
hope you
around.
improve
See?
somewhat, and I want
I
it to
know.
be
Mine
painterly.
always
Well, it
adds something.
definitely is.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
when I look back,
And that one has
I see
that.
3 fingers. 1, 2, 3. Actually, 4. They're all the same.
See?
So I just want to
Okay.
change a little bit. Well, let's clean out my brush first.
That's just mineral spirits.
I just and because the light and the path was
Also, there's
all
that
kind of the
one, a
same,
friend of mine
so I want to
said
vary that a little
which
bit.
is a road.
See, it takes me a while to see that kind of stuff. Like, I have to not paint on it for a day or two, or take a picture of it, or I don't notice that kind of stuff.
Well, sometimes I don't either. Sometimes I'll come back and go, "Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, what was I thinking?" But I mean, sometimes things come easier than others. Now those are pretty much identical, but at least there's not 4 in a row. And I'm gonna make a little divot in the. Whoop, that's too dark. No, maybe not.
Where the path dips
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
down to the gutter.
That's pretty. Mm-hmm. Did you take that? No. I was gonna say, girl, you're in the wrong photography at the photo.
That's gonna make a gorgeous paint.
I hope so.
Oh heck yeah!
What are y'all looking at?
The photo that
Jan's
she found
photo.
that she was gonna paint.
That I hope to paint.
Just like a fairy should be.
Okay, I'm gonna back up. Okay, that's not bad.
It's beautiful.
This is where I'll come in. I'm gonna zoom in on the photo a little bit and see some of the foliage that's down below that's catching a little light. I'm gonna flip back to my lovely yucky brush here.
Foliage
And I'm just gonna put little
touches.
flecks in here just to add a little more texture up.
That's kind of
Front.
a lime green you're using.
And I'm gonna do the same thing over here, but with lighter, because the light's on it. I need it lighter.
Mm-hmm.
Carrie, when you backed up and looked at it, did your eye travel around the painting? Did you look at section by section? Did you look at the whole thing? How are you analyzing it?
Well, I looked to see. I mean, I guess what caught my eye was some hard lines, and if I throw in some of this foliage that's caught by some of the light in the back, it can break up some of the hard edges on the trees.
That's a great question, because I tend to get lost in the landscape and have to keep going back and finding my point, a reference point of, now, wait a minute, where was I? Because all that
It's
stuff,
busy. Yeah.
the leaves and the limbs and the bark and the, path, it's a lot.
It is a lot, and there's times when you just need to ignore it.
And I have to look for shapes. That's about the only way I can stay with it. Because if I don't, instead of thinking, oh, I'm painting a tree, Pam Brown taught me that in Wild Acres. She said, you are trying to paint a tree in a bush, stop it. Look for shapes and try to paint that shape, whether it's a straight line
That's what we did in
or
that
a circle,
Drawing
or,
class with
quit trying to paint a tree in a bush. You're not painting a tree in a bush. And
That's
she's
two
in my head
inches.
every time I try to do it now. She's in my head.
That was too green. Don't like that color. Alright, so I'm going to come in with some of this There is some green in this tree, in these trees up in here.
Wow.
She went crazy on us all there at the end, didn't she?
I know. And you might go, oh crap, I liked it better before. And you might. I mean, that's always an. You know, that's the trouble with. Okay, do I put everything that I see? Do I not? I never know. And
There's some apply too.
but I don't want just that one shade of. You know, I want to show some.
Variability.
Yeah.
I like it.
So
You
I'm
need to add a
putting
little
some
light.
dark. I added some alizarin to that same color. And I'm going to add some more trunks back in there to add some depth. So I'm going to shift brushes again. I'm going to go to just kind of a neutral color. Dark.
That's a nice green.
So Debbie, when you think about that, painting the shapes, is it at the very end that you go in then and add the details to make it your tree or bush? Is that what you wait to do?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
But even then, it still kind of shapes,
Mm-hmm.
is what Pam was saying.
Yeah.
And it really is when you start breaking it down. Might look like a feather or a, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I was struggling when I did my first one in Wild Acres the first time I went, and I was about ready to scream. And it was about me, two other people were the same way, and it was her and Kathy Myers sat with me and said, "Let me watch you paint." And then they said, "You're trying to paint a tree in a bush. Stop." You know. And I never thought about that until they told me that.
Yeah,
It's
I want a
looking
little
really
bit
good,
of,
Carrie.
want a little bit of light on that. So the last bit is thicker.
Can I tell you one thing about the painting that's bothering me?
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's your painting, not mine. But
I'll
you
see if
see
it's something I bought.
on the photograph.
Okay, that photograph.
Okay. All right. These two trunks are identical thickness. In the photo, you've got that lovely V of light color. I would love to see that V of light color in there, but maybe that's just me and not you, so don't worry about it.
No, I
But
think
that's
that's a
the
good
one
point.
thing. 'Cause those are two identical thick trunks. To me, that tree's a little thinner and has that lovely
It's
V.
it's actually a lot thinner, and there's
Yeah.
some trees
And it
in
has
the
a
background.
lovely V of light color coming down to break up the sameness of those two trees, but that's just me.
No, I
You do what you love.
No, but you know it's good. I don't mind that at all. Yeah, because
That might
this was bothering me. I need more light in here. Anyway.
Anyway,
Yeah. No, I mean I don't.
just I can see it from this distance that I'm just an anal person that has to go by the photo reference.
Can you point to me in the photo what tree you're talking about?
It's this one
yes.
right here.
Because there's two clumps.
Yeah.
Let me show you.
I'll show you. Here. So we'll go.
That's my text. I lost it.
When you here's a good example. You want to get rid of something.
Yeah,
I got
but
a-
are you talking
I got
about this?
Skinnier.
Oh, she's got. I'm talking about these guys.
And you just
Oh yeah, okay.
diluting it, taking it off really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
what
that
do
looks
I-
much better.
Yeah. I see it. And that actually that trunk. This one actually bothers me too because I got
Oh.
it fatter than I wanted to
Yeah.
start with. So I just got mineral spirits and lifted that out.
Is it not too late to do it now? You can still do it because the
Oh,
paint's
I just
nice and
did.
wet.
Yeah, she just took
Awesome.
out that whole section, that V,
See.
that little V.
You know, I like that.
But I also see this was another part that was bothering me at the very beginning. And sometimes you can work with it and it's okay. But as you back up or as you work with it and you go, I don't like that, then lift it out.
That's the nice thing about oil, I guess.
Well, acrylic, you could just let it dry and paint over it.
Right.
So, but see now, because I have an acrylic underpainting, I know when I've gotten to the underpainting
Ah.
because it's purple. So, I like that better. I want some
really like that.
openness up here. Now that's not finished. I've got to come back. I'm going to come back with some blues. And some oranges and fill in between where I took it out. And sometimes you'll have to let it, dry. But that's okay too. I mean, this is a demo and it might not be finished today, but that it gives you an idea of how I would attack a painting. I would, this to me isn't finished. I would need more shadow in here. I need some other greenery up here. I did it over here, but I haven't put it in over here.
Does Erin use acrylics in her background? But I mean, does she do the?
I don't know. I would assume she did everything in oil.
Okay.
But I have seen. I have. Oh, this is lovely. I should put on a glove. Don't do this. I have seen in her videos, or it might have been stills. I'm not sure if it's a video. She has these racks of drying racks. These giant drying racks, like you might have in
Like a pottery rack, something like that.
A bakery.
yeah, but they're it's narrow. They have it built. I'm sure they had it specially built.
Okay.
But to where she slides her paintings in flat
Uh-huh.
because they're so thick you wouldn't want it to stand up. But it's dated as to when it goes in, so she knows when it's dry enough.
Gotcha.
And I just thought that was rather interesting. So I'm going to stop here just so y'all can paint. But I think this, it could almost be finished. And I'll stare at it for a bit and see what bothers me and what doesn't, and go from there. Good enough?
Yeah.
Thanks for your input.
Well, I'm sorry. I thought that
No.
sounds awfully pretentious of me, but
No, I really, this part was too heavy and clunky.
yeah, I guess that's what it was. It was
And-
two heavy trunks.
And
side by
actually, I'm going to come back in here and add some more light through there, because otherwise I wouldn't have, see that again, you wouldn't have this wide of light if it's that solid. See how you have a shadow here, and you have all this light here? If I don't make more light come through here, that's not going to make sense.
Gotcha.
But that's what's nice about having other people look.